Hey guys, it's Niall Horan here. Callaway and I are doing a great giveaway of these Apex irons. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and drop a comment below for your chance to win. All right, so
That's the new Apex.
it's a beautiful looking thing to look down at.
I'll look at one measurement as you hit, and hopefully it's a slight improvement. That would be the difference between your longest shot and your shortest shot.
They look really nice to look down at, actually. Thinner on the top, is it? That
might be a touch thinner than what you have there. It's a little bit more compact head size than the Paradigms that you were swinging.
That's a nice draw.
That's a little more like it. When you hit a little bit of a pull with your old clubs,
yeah,
especially if it was a little pull and draws, it's like 6,000 spin and it goes forever.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that typically go longer than your target, maybe over the back of the green.
Yeah.
Tough place typically to get up and down from long left. That little nice draw that you hit, the spin was 6,800 and it went the distance that your straighter shots go too. So
really?
that's a huge benefit.
That's
if
helpful.
The spin stays up when you turn it over like that. I mentioned earlier, if we're going to see an improvement to someone's game that's high speed,
mm-hmm.
you know, single digit handicap, it's like distance consistency. And that's for sure showing up here. You've got like, I'll just show you a picture here that shows you, it's a little bit tighter dispersion. You can see the spin is 7,057. So it's real close to that number that we see all the pros want their spin to be with 7-irons. And general rule of thumb for spin, we're just hitting 7-iron so far, but if you spin it somewhere in the ballpark of 1,000 RPMs per number that you have in your hand, you tend to see some good things happen. It tends to produce enough lift to where the ball comes down and lands soft through the bag. It's not so much spin that you have to worry about, you know, the wind conditions totally affecting the ball flight. Yeah. And it's enough spin for when you're in between shots. If you were going to take the longer club and say, okay, I'm in between 7 and 8, I'm going to take the 7, hit it soft. Yep. You've got enough spin for that shot to still have enough lift and have some good control as it lands.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of good stuff happening here. I measured your 7-iron at 61 degrees lie angle. I don't know if that number means anything to you, but that's this angle here. Yeah. That one's at 62, and it's turning over just a touch more than your iron. Okay. So I would say if that were the iron you're going to end up with, everything about it's coming off pretty good, or I've got a lot of data that I like seeing. Other than you'd probably want to match the lie angles that you're already playing, and that'll change the face plane to influence the shot shape to where it's just a tiny bit less of a draw. Okay. Yeah, it's got more lift. That was really well struck.
That looked like it.
Climbing a little bit more.
Climbed a bit. But if I can get a bit of consistency going, I think that's because sometimes I get, with the Paradigms, sometimes I would stand on the tee, someone would give me a number and I'd have to think about it. Yeah,
you're just at that combination of speed and skill where the distance irons, maybe extra distance hurts you more than distance control helps you.
Yeah, exactly, which is a very high class problem to have.
Yeah. So you're making that trade-off going this route, which we see almost every lower handicap player willing to make that trade-off.
Yeah,
I feel like they can play, unless it's a slow swing speed player, kind of makes it a different conversation, but you're obviously not in that category. All right, that's iron 1 option, Ai200. We have another version called the Ai300, but it's the big, wider sole option, geared towards a little bit more of the double-digit handicappers, if you will. So option 3 is a pretty cool iron called the Thai Fusion. The black finish, that's kind of eye-catching. It's
I've never had that look.
It's a little bit more compact head size, almost looks kind of like we're trying to make a tour iron, but there's a lot of technology packed into that head size.
That looks skinny, but then also on this
it's got some meat on the bottom, and it's disguised to look, you know, thin from the top. The Thai part stands for titanium, so we're making the face out of a different metal. Yeah, you don't often see it in an iron. So titanium's lighter than steel. That's one of the advantages of using that as a material, and you can reduce the weight of the face using titanium, and you can increase the speed using titanium as well.
And it's the fact that you use it in drivers.
That's why we've been using it in drivers forever. So when we use it there, you reduce the amount of weight in the middle, and you've got a more perimeter weighted club. So you've got a super forgiving club without it being quite as big as some of the other clubs that you could also say are forgiving.
Can I just see it next to the other
Yeah.
face? Just as a matter of, it's still quite compact, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit smaller.
A tiny bit smaller.
It's got
yeah.
just a fraction less offset here.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a little bit straighter and thinner top line there.
Yeah, that's
So
much
you're
thinner,
like
isn't it?
the
That definitely feels
you're the
bulkier.
player that club's designed to have a lot of appeal to.
Really?
Lower handicaps, and kind of what we found through all of our development process with this club is an even better spin robustness.
Okay. Well, that's what we're looking for.
Difference,
It's by
yeah.
the sounds of it.
So this is set up the same right now. It's got a little bit more loft on it. So what I'm used to seeing, we're in the early goings of having players come through and try these now, but what I have been seeing is a little bit more spin.
Is it heavier?
It's a similar head weight.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. That shot shape, I know it's one swing in, but I've seen like 100% of players after, if they've tried the 200 first, hit their first ball with this slightly more out to the right, harder to pull.
Okay.
A little more spin, that was 7,400, and a little bit more speed too. You were 121 average ball speed with the 200.
Right, well, the pull is less. Probably still hitting the green there, you know?
Yeah, that was a path that was a degree left, and it didn't turn over.
I'll take that.
So the other club, as well as your old club, seemed like if you had kind of a pull, it might also draw.
Yeah. It's definitely harder to pull.
Yeah. Which for some makes that desirable, and others, you know, obviously less desirable. Right now, for you, it makes it look like a real tight dispersion around your target line.
Exactly, and like that wind is coming in off the left too, and it still didn't it held up on it. That's the pull there, really, isn't it?
So that spin consistency, this is kind of cool to see. Like with your old irons, you could spin it as low as 5,500. You could spin it as high as 7,600. All the shots you just hit, if I read them out, 7,400, 73, 72, 74. So real consistent on that
spin.
On that spin.
You can see it as well, can't you? Like,
yeah. And then the distance consistency, which spin is going to be your greatest contributor to how far the ball flies, assuming that you're striking it fairly consistently. 65, 1, 60, 59, 67. So it's a pretty tight window where you had about 20 yards, you know, on your old set if you kind of nuked one with a little draw or cut one toward the flag. So really, you've got two good options. This one's going a couple yards shorter than the Apex Ai200 that you hit a minute ago.
Yeah.
A little bit more concentrated off to the right with the shot shape pattern, and very consistent on the distance window.
Consistency is king, I guess.
So you're kind of, I guess, if you don't have a preference on like the things we can't measure, look, sound, feel, turf interaction, which the launch monitors obviously aren't telling us any of those things. Say you're just picking off performance, you've got a trade-off to make. Yeah. You've got a little more consistent distance window here, a little more right shot shape, but very consistent in that regard, and a couple yards shorter.
Yeah.
And you've got really good stuff happening. Easy draw with the Apex Ai200.
I'm probably
a little bit longer distance than the tie.
I think this will take a bit of getting used to looking down at that, because I've never had the
dark finish,
the titanium finish cut, obviously for obvious reasons, or any dark finishes for that matter. But I'm liking what I'm seeing.
The flight you're getting, where it's just a hair lower launch and hair higher spin, that's kind of the flight we see a lot of tour players kind of wanting to see the most.
Okay.
And no pulls, we hear that a lot. The pro tends not to want to see something pull when they're not expecting it.
That was a bit too much to the right now, if you ask me. But I'm really enjoying the way it's coming out. Both of them actually. The Apex.
Yeah.
The 200.
And this one's spinning as high as it is. It brings the Gold Box Chrome Tour golf ball a little bit more into the conversation.
Right.
So if you like that Chrome Tour ball, the tie iron would match it really
I don't
nice.
really have a preference, to be honest. Like, it would be, as you say, match it up I'd rather you match it up for me than...
Yeah.
Now I'm finding it hard to turn it over.
Yeah, if I look at one number on average, that tells us about shot shape. I'll look at a measurement called spin axis. So it takes the backspin of the golf ball and measures how it tilts. You're 3 or 4 degrees left draw spin with the 200 iron. You're 2 degrees to the right with this one. So it's not a lot. It's not a big number in either case, but it's the opposite curve.
Interesting, isn't it?
Which with fitting, you can match the specs to create a certain shot shape. Like if you didn't want to see quite as much draw and you like the look or the feel of the 200, you start changing the lie angle and you start seeing a little bit different shot shape.
And what you say this is at 60?
That's at 62.
62.
Yeah.
Now that was me really trying to pull it left.
Yeah, and some players don't want to have to overdo that because if they have a club that makes them feel like they have to exaggerate a motion to hit it straighter, if the rest of their bag, like you would, if you don't have to do that with your driver to hit it straight, and then you all of a sudden hit a bunch of irons, and then that feel creeps into swinging your driver. Now maybe all of a sudden you pull your driver.
Yeah.
But that same swing feel hits a straight iron shot.
Now I was definitely trying to get like a bit more of that.
That was a nice shot. Starting to see what happens a lot of times with players as they react to a club that's a little harder to turn over. You see it a lot with drivers anyway. If you know it's not going to pull too easily, start releasing the club a little bit more freely or aggressively.
That's what it feels like
speed
now.
Goes up.
Yeah. What was that one, as a matter of fact?
Ball goes straighter and farther because your speed goes up. That one was 91.5 head speed.
Okay.
You know, it's 2 miles an hour faster than some of the earlier swings.
And how about
7,400 spin, 129 ball speed, just ripped it, 175 carry. So it's almost starting to become a little bit more your preference rather than one of these clubs is more obviously.
So you don't think there's a
crazy
difference between them?
Well, they're subtly different. I mean, you're higher spin, lower launch here.
Yep.
So sometimes we'll hear players, even though it's higher spin, the fact that it comes out of a little lower launch angle window, and it's not significant, but it's almost a degree lower, like that if they play in wind. They feel like they can flight it under the wind. Then the fact that the last thing you want if there's a lot of wind is low launch and low spin, because it's just hard to control if there's low spin. If you have the high spin and the low launch, it's kind of like you can keep it under the wind good and still, you know, have some control on the greens.
Sure.
You're getting a little more of that with this tie iron. And that one was one where your path was a little left, started left, but it's not turning over.
Which is a good sign.
The shots that you pull here, you're less likely to also draw.
Yeah.
Which maintains spin better when you don't turn it over as at the same time as a pull. And those are shots that are going to be more likely to be on the left side of the green rather than long and left of the green.
Exactly.
You're only about a yard shorter with this iron now.
From
the 200.
From the 200.
Yep. Yeah, I always kind of think like for a player as I watch them hit balls, if I were them, which one I would want to play the most. But you can kind of decide if you'd like seeing between the two. So it looks like the tie fusion right off the rack in terms of length, loft, lie, really good numbers for dispersion, proximity to your target. Basically, you hit a real straight ball with like more spin than you're used to and more consistency than you had before. You might hit a couple shots with kind of the ends of the bag, like see what a 4-iron does, see what a pitching wedge does.
Yeah, okay.
With the 4-iron, you're looking at a couple things. You're looking at how far the ball flies. Now you're hitting like a 177 iron now. Okay. So if you kind of extrapolate, you know, what are the gaps going to be between all of these? You probably want to get to about 205 to 10 yards in the air with a 4-iron.
And with this, you want me to use this shaft or?
Yeah, that'll be okay just for testing. Okay. So we want to make sure it goes a yardage that doesn't start to creep too close to the 5-iron than you might want. Which at the slower swing speed crowd, we tend to start seeing that at your speed, not expecting as much.
Yep.
Your swing speed's up to 94 with the 4-iron, so it keeps creeping up
that's a
as the clubs get longer. That part's good.
That felt good, that one.
213 right there. And still plenty of spin, 5,000 spin. 40.7 on that land angle number.
What are you looking to see spin-wise on a 4-iron?
A little over 4 grand,
Okay.
you know, or at least enough spin. That one you caught a groove low, so it launched the hair low. What you don't want to see is it come out like 33, 35, 3600, because then it's, you know, kind of one-dimensional. It's not going to have enough lift to give you that land angle that holds the greens. Which, if you never hit 4-iron into greens, it's kind of like more of a tee shot club, and then it might be no big deal that it does that. But if you're hitting 4-iron into the green, you want to see it, you know, have enough lift
And a good land
through
angle.
enough spin to have that land angle come down soft enough. Which that one right there, assuming that's what your good shots do, checked all those boxes. That one's even more flush than the last one.
There's better contact with the turf there.
Yeah, 210, 46 land angle there. I mean, you could have followed the players that played at Pinehurst at the U.S. Open, and after the greens are all baked out, and still hold the green with the 4-iron. If you hit this driving iron in like the, you know, the 230 range, that puts a 20-yard gap between your 4-iron and that club. If it's 240, you know, that's 30 yards.
Yeah.
So that would probably necessitate a club in between the 4-iron and the driving iron, which we do have we do make a 3-iron in that set, so we might want to order it for you if that's the case.
That was a decent one.
Yeah, 240.
Yeah.
So that's probably a big enough gap to where we got to put something in between the two.
And the 3-wood's going about 260.
Yeah.
So I'll take that.
Yeah.
Can I just hit a few of those Apexes just to know that I've hit a few?
Got the whole set there, which those are good too. These things had a lot of positive things going for them, other than they were overdrawn a little bit. All we would change is a slightly flatter lie angle than the Fusions.
Okay.
Start getting them in and up closer to the flag.
So if I was to say that I like the look of the Apex more, just to look at.
Yeah.
How mad would you be from a fitting point?
Not at all. They're not necessarily for two different players. They have a lot of similarities in the performance.
Okay. I just like looking down at it.
Yeah, they've got, you know, a little different size, a little different shape. Yeah, consistent. It's about a degree or half degree higher launch and a 200 RPM lower spin in the Fusion. You can see how you're drawing that a little bit easier. If I want to soften that up a little bit, it's not like you have to use a different club. That's where someone like me comes in and starts customizing them to you to produce the shot shape that, you know, makes them perform the best.
Well, if
so it'd be like
it looks anything like that, like
half degree flat is all we do. It'd be very, very subtle.
Oh, turn it down to 60.
61 and a half.
61 and a half.
Yep. So all your set would be what's called half degree flat, standard lofts.
Okay. Like even the bad ones, that's a bad one there, and that's better than anything I've seen.
Yeah, I
just
bet
even to look at, like
the irons you've got now, the bad ones are pretty good. It's just sometimes you get some good ones where you're like, I need a better result. Than
well, see the thing is for someone at my like skill level, the consistency is not always going to be so high. So when I do catch one, it does. Yeah. They do go a little bit too far.
Yep. Hopefully that's going to go away a little bit. That's what all our testing show. That's what we got a little bit of evidence just in you hitting these on the range shows.
They draw a lot easier than.
Yeah, easier than what you had, easier than the Fusion iron.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great thing about these testings. You can literally see it right in front of you in comparison to some of the others.
It's really cool when we change stuff like that on the robot.
Oh yeah.
You literally see the design features in the club produce the differences in the result. The robot will deliver the club to the ball, same speed, same
every time.
Face angle, same hit locations. So if you like change the center of gravity or change any of the things we can change in a golf club, it's, you know, it shows up right away.
That was a good one, that one, I think.
All right, so we're going from AI Smoke Paradigm irons, which are great. You hit them a mile, which is pretty cool, but you get into a point with your game where they're sometimes going too far. Sometimes it's the conditions of the course where they're more likely to come out hot and all of a sudden you make a good swing end up over the green.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to the Apex Ai200 because it is probably less likely to do that on a shot that you hit solidly to underspin and go too far. We found the spin was way more consistent.
And higher.
And higher in general. Higher, but more consistent at a higher spin. And that's the recipe at your high speed and your consistent swing to hit the ball a yardage that carries more consistent. Changing the lofts on the wedges a little bit as a result of that change to the irons as well, going from 48 to 50 so that it gaps off the pitching wedge 15 yards. So now you've got 15-yard increments through with all your wedges with a 50, 55, and a 60.
Yes.
Should be a great set for you.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
No, I'm really excited about them. They're really great.
Good stuff.
Cheers, bud. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Biggest thing I noticed with the Apex was the consistency in the spin, and also my dispersion wasn't as big as it usually is. And I think that's what we're all looking for as amateur golfers, really, to try and hit more fairways and hit more greens. I've hit about 100 balls here at the fitting. I've got a show tonight. It's about 80 degrees here in sunny Carlsbad. I could stand on this range for the rest of the day, but I'd probably be in a lot of trouble with my fans if I didn't turn up to that concert.